achieved.
And this is why we can't have nice things. Like, what the fuck was that shitstorm? Hi guys, I decided to do a post-fight recap, since we've had a couple weeks off for the next event, and you know, UFC 229 was the epitome of insanity. Yeah, that was something else. We're not even talking about the fights, we're talking about the post-fight shenanigans between Conor and his team and the Russians, and I'll get into it a little bit, but first and foremost, I'm not going to paint Conor's side as being innocent, but if you look at it within just the context of last night, you go, okay, it was perpetrated by Khabib's supporters, but honestly, it's just a shit show that is really a black mark on the UFC, and the long and short of it is the UFC is going to use that to thrive and to actually expand and add and build up to their next fight. So, hey, it is what it is, and we'll talk about it in a bit. My performance overall, I started the event 0-5. I can't remember the last time I started an event 0-5. That was fucking hard to watch. But, you know, fortunately, I finished the event 6-1. So, you know, 6-6 overall isn't a great night, and when you consider that my two top plays of the night, actually 3 top plays of the night, all came in the final 7 fights, and I won them all. That's huge. So I went 6-1. We'll do a quick rundown. My bet packs did a really solid night. For the fact that I only won 50% of my fights, I did very well. My big bankroll, which again is geared towards people who have a lot more money and want to bet on just a fight or two, it returned 85.74 units for a profit of just over 30 units. That's pretty solid. My big reward bankroll, all my gold plays hit. So my big bankroll, I had, sorry, going back to them, I had Nurmagomedov straight up, I had Nurmagomedov and Formiga, I had Nurmagomedov and Derek Lewis parlayed together, pardon me. I had Formiga by decision, which also helped. I had a couple other ones along the way that cashed as well. My big reward bundle also, I won 100.36 units. That's correct, 100 units. All in my gold pet. I bet 40 units overall to get there, so it's a 60 unit profit. I had it was my 10. I put 10 units down on Nurmagomedov, Lewis, and Formiga in my gold play. I loved it. I promoted it as my biggest play of the year, and it cashed huge, so that's fantastic. The thing that killed me was Dominic Reyes not getting the knockout win. That hurt a little bit. I did have that in one of my bets, which would have added to it as well. But and I had a couple personal bets which I didn't promote, which were a little further long shots that needed either Felice Herrig to win or Dominic Reyes to win my knockout. So that was a tough pill to swallow. My confidence picks went 5-0. That included ranking Juicy Formiga as my number 2 pick overall, and Nurmagomedov was also in my top 5. My top 2 value picks: Derek Lewis, Formiga number 1, Lewis number 2, smashed and came in huge. I know the Lewis fight was something to behold, which we'll talk about in a bit. But you know, overall, what went wrong with my predictions? When you look at Ryan LaFleur, Alan Patrick, and Gray Maynard, I know Maynard was a long shot. None of them got their wrestling game going. None of them were able to secure takedowns, either through their lack of focus on that approach or because their opponents just took it to them. You know, Lentz hurt Maynard before he could even think about wrestling. Patrick and LaFleur just looked like they were more interested in striking, and before you knew it, the fight was over. Landsberg fought terribly. She just got beat at her own game, and it's upsetting. And I kind of, you know, it was one of those back and forth fights I wasn't sure to go with. The one that upset me was Aspen Ladd. I went back and forth on that matchup for a long time, and I ultimately settled on Tonya Evinger, feeling that she's the more experienced fighter. But Ladd's a fucking animal, and I hope the UFC gives her an opportunity to develop and become one of those next, you know, legit contenders at 135 pounds, which we really seem to be lacking in development in that division. So I really like what I saw out of her. She's a monster, and she's you know, cute kid. She's marketable. She seems like she's, you know, to turn it on and off in the cage, and you know, I look forward to seeing what she does going forward. And the other one is Felice Herrig got tired. I talked about that. Either Herrig's one of the two tends to get tired. Herrig got tired, didn't land enough offense. She was more concerned with controlling position, and Waterson was doing what she needed to do. And props to Michelle Waterson. She fought a very good fight. You know, I knew I was in trouble when Felice landed that takedown and basically held on for dear life, and Michelle Waterson was lighting her up with elbows. So, hey, that's what it was. Now, what went right? Let's take a look at the fights I got correct. Luque just took out an inexperienced, relatively green, and still talented, and a lightweight, at no less. Knocked him out cold. Turner will be back, and I'm looking forward to seeing his next scrap. My number 1 play of the night, Juicy Formiga against Sergio Pettis. I just did not see how. Again, I think it was perception. Pettis coming off a win over Joseph Benavidez, the first guy to actually beat Benavidez that wasn't dominant cruiser Demetrius Johnson, and Benavidez starching and taking out Formiga, and I think the odds makers got it wrong, and we capitalized massively. Pettis always gives up takedowns, and Pettis tends to be a 2-round fighter. He's a guy who takes a round off at some point in fights. And with Formiga's takedown skills, if you're already giving him a round or potentially giving him a round, if he's going to get you on the mat and grapple you, you're in trouble. So his grappling skills shine through. And on top of that, I had him by decision as well. If you follow my final prelim betting scenario, we jumped all over that. It was plus 300, so that's a huge cash in. On the main card, Derek Lewis. Whoa, what to say? My ball's hot. That's fantastic. The people that I was watching the event with looking around, what did he just say? He just took his shorts off because his balls are hot? That's awesome. The fight was something. It was entertaining. I feel bad for Alexander Volkov, who fought a very good fight, just couldn't get him out of there. Maybe a little more urgency when he had him in trouble might have led to it. But again, Lewis is a dangerous dude. And it's crazy to watch Derek Lewis win fights that he shouldn't win. And on top of that, to win fights that he just... they're poor performances a lot of time. And then he comes through and just rips the heart out of his opponent in the final moments. And this one, in the absolute last seconds, again, I had him by knockout. I'm like, he's not winning this fight any other way by knockout, because he gets on top of a guy and controls the position. He's taking you out. So he's not going to win it with positional control. He's not going to, if he hits you enough, you're probably going down. That's what happened. What's his situation? Give him a title shot at this point. Some people would say Curtis Blaydes deserves it more, and he probably does. But Derek Lewis is far more entertaining, and quite honestly, he's not going to win. But it'll be sure as fucking interesting to watch. And I would save Curtis Blaydes for a little bit down the road. But yeah, give Lewis a title shot at this point. He's fought. He's not. He's eventually. You need new faces in the heavyweight division. He's on borrowed time as far as his winning streak. Eventually, a performance like that's going to catch up to him. He's going to lose, and people are. I'm surprised. People lost interest off the Ngannou fight again. Buy low, sell high. And that's what that was. That was he coming off a poor performance, and he turned it around and did very well. So hey, we'll take that. Dominic Reyes. I cannot believe. I thought he'd get him out of the first round. He didn't, and I thought it was a good experience. It's a fantastic situation. He had finished all of his previous pro bouts in the opening round with the exception of one. So accumulating that time of cage time against a veteran like OSP is a fantastic, fantastic wealth of experience to draw upon. But I had Reyes by knockout, so him getting the stoppage and then Murglietta not really recognizing it, he walked away. He didn't finish it. Had he followed up with a couple strikes, he probably gets it. Honestly, I've seen less of a knockdown result in a finish. I would just wait to see Murglietta do the old hand wave and we're finished. Sorry, that wasn't the case, so that's upsetting. But he's got a lot to improve upon, but he's got a lot to work with as well. So I'm very happy for what I saw out of him. Tony Ferguson, Anthony Pettis, awesome, fucking awesome. I loved it when Anthony Pettis came out and kicked you in the knee. This is my livelihood, and you're going to come back with a bad knee. I'm going to test it. Great, fantastic. I'm gaining more and more respect for Anthony Pettis. Because I always see him as a show pony. He's the type of guy who wants to come out and fight fights and look good. And once they get gritty, that's when he folds up. Yeah, but he keeps losing them, but he seems to enjoy them. Against Dustin Poirier, he had a back and forth battle with Charles Oliveira, which he won, which was great. But this was the type of fight I thought Ferguson would bring to the table. I thought he'd finish him. He'd catch him with a Darce choke if Pettis made a sloppy shot out of exhaustion. We might have seen that in the third round when it got there. Good on Pettis' corner for shutting it down. Good on Tony Ferguson for coming back after 6 months. The guy's fucking crazy. He is batshit crazy, and his craziness is only surpassed by what happened in the main event. But I tuned into the post-fight press conference, and there's Tony Ferguson with a microphone, and they're just like, "Go out and talk, Tony." And he is talking. I saw someone post. I can't remember who it was, but they kind of said it was Trumpian, almost Donald Trump. This is his line of consciousness, the way he was talking. It was like, yeah, it is. He's just talking about everything and just promoting the shit out of himself, and he's contradicting himself. I made Anthony Pettis quit 2 minutes later. Anthony Pettis is no quitter. It's like, well, hold on a second there, friend. Come on there, Al Kukui. What the fuck is he? But still, fantastic fight. Loved it. I think Pettis, is a gatekeeper at this point. He essentially wins a fight and he loses a fight. He wins a lower level fight, gets bumped up to take on top level competition, and loses that fight. Still, I'll be tuning into his next fight once he returns. For Tony Ferguson, give that man a title shot. Yeah, I know we're having issues with all this crap, and we don't know what's coming out of the main event, but I want Tony Ferguson in the next fight. I don't want to see Khabib and Conor rematch right away. Set it up a little bit later down the road, but I want to see Tony Ferguson, Actually, in honesty, I'd love to see Anthony Pettis versus Conor McGregor next. And then if Conor wins that fight, then he calls it Khabib, and you build up that whole here we go again. But yeah, give Tony the title shot. The guy's got crazy cardio. He is tough as fucking nails. He's, you know, Lando Venata hurt him. Anthony Pettis hurt him, and he just spins around and keeps recovering and coming back. He's got great grappling. He can wrestle if he wants to. It's just he brings so many intangibles. And him versus Nurmagomedov, if we could ever get there, wrap those fuckers in bubble wrap. If we could ever get there, it would just be fantastic. It might not have the raw, ridiculous emotion, because Tony's not the talker that Conor is. He tries, but it's just not there. It still would be a fun fight. All right, so yeah, main event. Let's talk fights first. I had Nurmagomedov from the get-go. Conor had a very, you know, the under didn't come through the 2.5 or even the 1.5. It didn't happen, but you know, quite honestly, it was a good fight. It was far better than I expected it to be. It was just one of those fights where I initially looked at it and said, either one of two things is going to happen. Either Conor's going to knock him out inside the first 7.5 minutes, catch him with a straight left. You know, I wouldn't have been surprised. I kind of felt like it might have been coming. Conor spends the first round on his back. Nurmagomedov unable to finish him, and then Conor sparks him at the start of the second round. Didn't happen. I thought the other scenario was Khabib spent the entire fight beating the shit out of him on the mat until Conor relented. You know, that's ultimately what happened at the end, but you know, there was a lot in between that was good and enjoyable, and it wasn't as one-sided as I expected it to be. Seeing Nurmagomedov drop him on the feet was something else. You know, I know he's got power, but he's so unorthodox, and I think that's what throws people off. He's so unorthodox. He throws punches at angles that no one expects to see coming. And, you know, his technique on the ground, the way he was tying up Conor's legs. So Conor did an excellent job of defending. And, you know, yes, Conor was in a defensive position, but the fact that he was limiting the offense that Nurmagomedov was able to get off. Like Nurmagomedov against Edson Barboza and against Michael Johnson, against a lot of the other guys he's fought, when he takes them down, he pounds them out. Even against Ali Quinta in the first 2 rounds. When he gets you down, he does damage. Conor neutralized that. And again, you could almost, if Conor had won that fight, he could have easily played up the fact, yeah, we knew he'd come out in the first round, he'd probably get me down, focus on defense, accept the position, defend, avoid taking damage, get back to our feet, and go to work. And it almost worked. Nurmagomedov was looking heavier as the fight went on. He wasn't nearly as snappy with his offense, and had Conor been able to knock him out, good on him. But he didn't. Will the rematch, was there enough there to warrant a rematch? Yes, he got finished, but there could be a rematch down the road again. I want to see Conor fight Anthony Pettis or someone like that, get him an opportunity, another striking-based opponent, get him an opportunity to pick up a win, get back in the win column, and then boom. And do it quick. I don't know what Conor's situation is. What is we, October? Try to do something, you know, in February. If Conor's not dealing with any other extra outside things, get him back in the cage quick. Capitalize on this. Let him get a win. And then we work towards a future title shot. I think it would be good for the business. With Khabib, the guy, he brings a lot to the cage. I don't like his attitude. I remember at the press conference they had, one of the interviewers got up and said a greeting to Khabib and then congratulated Conor on his whiskey. And it was just niceties and trying to play to both sides. And Khabib shut him down and said, you can't talk about, he's very religious, he's a Muslim, he's very religious that way. You can't talk about religion and my religion and his whiskey in the same sentence. It's like, come on, guy, get over yourself. I'm not a religious guy. I'm an atheist, staunch atheist. And I don't get it. I don't get it. And the thing is, God doesn't care about you smashing someone's face in a cage. If there is a God, he's got better things to worry about than what you do inside of a cage. So it's just fuck off with that bullshit. And I look at it from the Christian side, from every side of things. When guys, talk to God, point up afterwards, you piss off. That's this bullshit. No one, and they don't care. If any of that crap actually exists, they don't care what you're doing inside a cage, beating up another human being. It is what it is. It's a cage fight. It's a fight inside of a metal structure until one of you can no longer go, or to the judges decide who wins. So God has nothing to do with it. So piss off with that. Sorry, I was a little off track. Also, in afterwards, when with the attack, Conor attacked a bus and got nuts. So you knew that the Russian contingent was not going to just lay down and take it. You knew they weren't just going to allow that to happen without any pushback. Did we know it was to that extent? I don't think so. With Nurmagomedov going over the cage, that was a fucking poor choice. That's something I say to an elementary student. That's a poor choice. Think better next time. taking a shot at Dylan Dennis like that. Some people are trying to play up the whole Conor punch first. Maybe he did. There seems to be footage of him throwing a punch first, but it's like, he was being confronted by guys who had no fucking business being in the cage. Islam Makhachev, who came and attacked him, the secondary guy, kind of take a shot from behind, which is bullshit. I'm glad he's going to be gone from the UFC. And Zubair Tuhugov, another one of Conor's training partners. He was the first guy that hopped in the cage, and he even talked about ahead of time there will be some type of retribution, that he wants to fight, some kind of fight with Conor at some point. So bullshit, got by. Conor didn't press charges. I think that looks fantastic. He's almost dismissing them as these are pointless. Is Conor innocent in this whole situation? No, but he's done the right thing here. He's taken the high road of focusing on the sport and saying, I don't care what happened. You jumped me in the cage. That shows how pathetic you are. That shows your character. They can go away now. They're meaningless. They're pointless. Someone, another organization will scoop them up and do whatever with them. As far as Nurmagomedov, should he be stripped of the title? No. Find the shit out of him. Withhold his purse. Make that fucking hurt. Make that hurt big time. You don't do that. I've seen guys. You guys, you want to go out and celebrate in the crowd? I'm all for it. I know why they restrict that shit, but to jump into the crowd and the video just flying almost superhero landing attempt to trying to take out Dylan Dennis, who I don't even know exactly what he said, but it was fucking not good. And then Nurmagomedov at some point in a post-fight press conference, whether it was today or whatever, has said, "Oh, I want to clean up the sport." Bullshit. You can't talk about religion. You can't talk about a man's family. It's promoting. You know what you can't do? You can't jump into the crowd and assault someone who's not in a fight. I don't care if they're a professional fighter. You can't do that. You're insane. And you want to clean up the sport. You saw the riots and bullshit that ensued afterwards. They showed pictures of people being attacked in the in the stands and in the arena elsewhere. Guys getting knocked out cold. It was just it was upsetting to see in a night that should have been a huge spectacle and showcase for the sport. We got that absolute shit show. So you didn't clean up the sport. You made it worse. You dumb fuck. And it was upsetting. And I was a couple people I was watching it with. I said the one I said I was waiting for someone to get shot. It felt like that type of atmosphere. Someone's going to pull a gun out and they're going to shoot somebody. And I wouldn't have been shocked. I was prepared to see that. And it's ugly. And now on top of that, the UFC gets to sit for a couple weeks because there's 2 weeks off before the next event. And it's in Canada, no less. That's fun. But yeah, we get to sit, and this is going to be mainstream media for a couple of weeks. But quite honestly, get Conor McGregor back in there. Let him fight again ASAP. Set him up with Anthony Pettis. And if Nurmagomedov's not suspended, suspend him for whatever. Fine him huge. Suspend him for some token amount of time. Fine him all of his purse. Take away his $2 million plus. Whatever. But have him fight Tony Ferguson next. Conor can call him out after he beats Pettis or whoever they pair him up with, and then we get the rematch sometime late in 2019. I'll buy. I'll watch. It'd be fantastic. And so there you go. Very interesting stuff. So UFC 229 was a shit show with hot balls and psychotic Russians and equally a psychotic Irishman from before, and a profitable night overall for my BetPack customers. And I had a lot of new customers, so hopefully they enjoyed what they saw. Again, I cannot guarantee I'm going to do that every time. And in fact, my betting style is different than everyone else's. I'm not going to grind away and I'll bet 2 units to win 4. No, I'm going to bet 8 units to win 90. Or I'm going to bet 10 units to at least, win 26. That's me being conservative. So it is what it is. People don't like it because it's different. It's not always successful. But, there you go. The other thing I'm paying attention to now is the end of the year is the fact that I am trying to secure 300 UFC correct predictions in a calendar year. In 2014, I hit 299. Last year, I hit 2016, I hit 290. Last year, I finished with 283. I kind of had a drop off. So far, I'm at 217 after last night. So I've got 83 wins to go with 10 events. So just over 8 wins per event. So that's doable. The 6 that I got last night, it didn't help. I needed to get 8 or 9. That would have been nice. But hey, let's get a couple double-digit ones in there, and we'll go from there. I think that's all from me. It's been an interesting Sunday morning. I don't usually drink, but I should have. But for now, let's sit back, enjoy the chaos, and hopefully we can get a handle on this shit and move forward as a collective MMA community. Let's go with that. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.